This is how to dye a 3-year-old Levi's Commuter Series hooded trucker jacket black. So in short, I'm going to show you how to dye this jacket black. This jacket, it's more of a brown maybe, but it's not a true black. And I'll try to show some before and after photos. There's some white trimming, which I don't really care if this turns black. It's on the inside. There is one tiny strip on the outside. Probably not going to be a big deal if that turns black. So I'm just going to dye this whole thing. So the dye that I'm using is this Dylon velvet black fabric dye that I got on Amazon. Speaking of Amazon, if you end up doing this project at home and buying some of this, you can support me by just clicking the link in the description below and then making your purchase at Amazon. So when I bought this on Amazon, actually I bought it 2 separate times because the first time I didn't realize that I was going to need more of this because it depends on the weight of the fabric that you're dyeing. So this was only for half a pound of fabric. So I bought some more and I ended up with 2 different versions, the British English version and the American English. And they kind of have different instructions. So I'm just going to average them out and see how that goes. But it looks like it's for the same quantity. They're both for 50 grams of the same dye. Step number 1, weigh dry fabric. I already did that cleverly by weighing myself while wearing the jacket and then weighing myself not wearing the jacket. Took the difference of that, which was 1.8 pounds. So it's about 2 pounds, which means I think you'll need about 3 of these packets, maybe 4 if you're going for jet black. So now that we've weighed it, it says to wash thoroughly. I have to admit that I have never, in the 3 years of owning this, washed it. And you might be thinking, dude, you're gross. And I've got to say, I'm not gross. The jacket's gross. I've been washing myself. I've been taking showers in those 3 years. This guy is filthy. Before you wash anything, you should always check that you've emptied the pockets, because you might have some monies in there. You don't want to dye that. Or if you're like me, you might have some fresh fruit that you decided to store in there as a snack for later and then maybe forgot about it. The worst case was when I forgot about a banana and it petrified, which was very lucky for me because usually when bananas rot, they turn into this like slimy, squishy mush and there's like fruit flies flying around, but this banana just petrified in my pocket. Now that I've emptied the pockets, I'm gonna start washing this. So I don't know, what do washing machines do? I guess I'll need some hot water. Plug up your sink, let's turn this off. It's probably a good idea to throw in some laundry detergent. I don't know what laundry machines do. They just kind of move it around. Oh, it's hot, ouch. Squish. It's like there was dirt in there. Wow. I kind of wonder if the brown is just the dye coming out, or if it's dirt. Should probably rinse it. Too bad I can't spin dry it. You know you twist so good. What's next, Dylon? Or should I say, Dylan? Using rubber gloves, dissolve dye in the water, fill it with about 6 liters of warm water, and then add some salt. Let's start with the about 6 liters of water. Add this mason jar. I believe it's 32 ounces or close. So about 6 of these. American English version just says enough warm water for fabric to move freely. So must not be an exact science. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let's just throw in another one for good measure. So I gotta add the salt. The American English version says 4 tablespoons. The British English says 10. And since I'm doing more packets, like 3 packets, I'm not sure whether it should be 12 tablespoons or 30 tablespoons. So I'm just gonna go with 10. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Boys. This one is for my homies. So now it's time to add the dye. I'm gonna add in 3 of these. Stir well. Ooh. That's pretty. Taken over by darkness. Oh, the dye is in my nostrils. Word of wisdom, make sure your surrounding sink area is not wet, because the powder kind of floats away and makes everything black. So make sure everything else is dry except the sink. So now the instructions say, stir it in. I feel like a witch. Probably should have done this sooner, but now's the time to put on some gloves. It says submerge fabric in water. Gonna submerge. I think it needs more water. So it says to submerge fabric in water and stir for 15 minutes. It's a little too big to really stir, but I'm gonna just do what I can. Now it says to stir regularly for 45 minutes, but I would say this is a regular stir, and this would be like irregular maybe, or, you know, I think I'm just gonna move it around every so often. Just poke at it with a spoon. Stir in regular. I do think it's important to flip it over every now and again, so that way the dye soaks in evenly. I've done the regular stirring for 45 minutes. So I think it's done. The next step is to rinse it in cold water, and then after that wash it in warm water, which I think means with soap and hot water. So I think that's enough cold rinsing. Now I'm gonna wash it. I washed it with warm water and soap, and the water coming out of it was still pretty dark. So I washed it a second time. It's still coming out pretty dark, but I think I'm just gonna let it dry like that and then wash it again to see how much dye comes out, and we'll see how it turns out. Before, after. Option 1, option 2. I'll repeat that. Number 1 or number 2. Overall, I'm happy with the way it turned out. There's a little bit of residue on the buttons that I have to scrape off. I think more dye came out of it than I expected, and that might be because I didn't use enough salt. So I think if I did this again, I would probably use more salt. But yeah, if you have one of these and it's looking pretty faded, it's a cheap and easy way to make it look like new again. Have fun with this thing.